video is going to be kind of putting it all together to format and then make a report useful to a couple of people. So here I have a report that I'm trying to use to get our single serve makeshift. We're trying to have it useful by district and by building. And as you can see, it's a business objects pull. So first thing I'm going to need to do is fill in any holes I have in the data. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here. Control right arrow will take me to the over end, and then I'm going to hit Control C in order to copy the cell so I can make sure that everything that I have here is going to be full. Then I'm going to select my data field. So the data field is going to be all of this area right in here that has a hole in it. That way I'll be able to sort it. I'm going to go over to this cell. Control down should take me all the way to the bottom, and yes, I see it. Right here is my sum. I'm going to hold down Shift, right arrow. Actually, I'm going to go over to this field. I'm going to hold down Shift, and I'm going to left arrow over to here. The reason I'm doing that is when I hit the Control, you got to remember that it's going to only go to the next change in space. So if I go to a column where I know that all of the information is going to be filled, it's going to take me to the top. So I'm going to start over here at the left. I'm going to hold down Shift. I'm going to get over to here, and then I'm going to hit Control up. It's not taking me to the top, so I'm just going to hit Control Shift Home. Here we go, I'm at the top now. I'm going to come down to here, and I'm going to go into the Edit menu. That's going to be Alt-E, and I'm going to say I want to replace. That's E again. It's going to find what, and I want to find Control-V, which is the stuff that I had. I'm going to hit Tab down and replace it with 0, and I'm going to say Replace All, which is Alt-A, or I can just hit Replace All. It's done it. It's made my replacements. Now I'm going to go up. I'm going to close out of this. And I'm going to go to my top. Here it is. The next thing that I'm going to need to do is hit my subtotals in there so I can find out a couple of things. So I'm going to say this is going to equal, escape, this is going to equal, it's doing that, equals, my keyboard's a little messed up, equals, escape, no, equals, here we go, subtotal. And I want to get a couple of, right now we'll call them averages, but I can't remember, so I'm going to go up here and go to subtotal, and that tells me that my subtotal worksheet function that I'm going to need is to get my averages number 1, minimize that, maximize that, subtotal 1, and I'm going to want it to be, comma, from here, Control Shift down to here, end parenthesis, done. Now I've got some averages, and those are dollars. So we're going to type in dollars right there. I'm going to hit Control C. I'm going to put it in all 3 of these areas. Control V. I've got a couple of dollars and a couple of percentages, so I'm going to go back to here and get my percent right there. And I'm going to get another percent right there. So that is going to be my average. And then if I also wanted a a count, we could get that. So let's get that, and the count function on subtotal is count A3. So I'm going to say equals, oh, let's do it to escape, please. I'm going to say equals, it keeps going to some type of equals subtotal, parenthesis, function number we set, I've forgotten it now, so I'm going to go back. It is 3, subtotal 3, comma, reference 1 is right here, Control Shift down, takes me to here, then parenthesis to there. Now I have my counts, and I'm going to leave that like that, because I only need really 1 count of numbers. So then I'm going to blow up this stuff so it looks a little bit nicer. And I'm going to make it maybe a 10. Yeah, that looks a little bit more visible. And I'm going to highlight it in yellow so people can see it. And I'm going to put some boxes around it. Just, why not? So now I got some boxes. Okay, great. So now I have my averages. And the other thing I'm going to want to do is find out whether these are at risk or not. So my risk formula that I've come up with is equals if, this is an if-then statement which we haven't shown you how to do in videos, but we will now that I realize it, parenthesis, there's the logical test. My logical test is going to be an and I'm going to put a parenthesis there. I want my and statement to be if this thing has anything, so if that percentage is going to be greater than 0, and if this thing, which is my LVL, is going to be less than 0.4, less than 40%, then what I want this to show is that a 1, and if it isn't, a 0. And that's going to be that. I'm going to say enter. And then I'm going to go into a conditional format. And I will say, what is that format? Conditional formatting. If this cell value is equal to 1, my format is going to be a big red box. I'm going to say OK. I'm going to say OK. Now all of a sudden I know if my stuff is at risk. I hit Control C. I go down to the bottom. Control Shift up. Control V. Now I know all my risk things. And now the last thing I just have to do is to set up my filters. And I can do that with filter, auto filter. Now I have a usable report that shows all the things that I need to do. So if I'm a district and I want to know, hey, I work over in Brisbane and I am district 517 and I want to see what my 7-Elevens look like. I have 4 7-Elevens. My average within my 7-Elevens are 92% of them are carrying the LVL, only 8% are carrying the XVL, and all of them are at risk for not having the right percentages. I can go talk to my RSRs now, and they look like they're all going to be on 1, 2, 3, 4 different routes. So there's my report, and that's how it's usable. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to all to reformat it for everybody, and then I'm going to send this out to everybody. And you know what? I might also put in here, I might put in a couple of sums now that I think about it. So I'm going to insert another line. I'm going to make this thing a little bit larger, make this thing a little bit smaller, and I'm going to say that, how about I copy this, Control C, I'm going to hit Control V and put that there, and I'm going to say this is sum, right? And I know that if I go back to my subtotal menu, sum would be 9, so I can just go back into here and I can change 3 to 9. Now it's changed. I have the sum of that. That's a dollar value, right? So I'm going to sum up my dollar value that shows. So I'm going to enter that as a dollar. Make that a little bit wider. Make that a little bit wider. That's the total dollar value of that. Control C, Control V, and this is going to need to be a little bit wider now. A little bit wider now. And those are all dollar values, except that's the sum of the percentages, so that doesn't mean anything, and that doesn't mean anything. So there we go. Now I have some averages that I can work with as I'm going out and doing my looks. There we go. So I'm going to save that. File save as, and I'm going to save it as formatted. So everyone knows that I've formatted this spreadsheet. And now it's ready to be sent out to the districts. So that is how you put it all together.